marketplace. Stay tuned.
Okay, and we are ready to go live.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Mortgage Coach Tuesday interview. Every Tuesday morning, 9 o'clock. Literally been doing this for, 8, 9 years. I am interviewing someone amazing. Sometimes that's a top producing mortgage professional. Sometimes it's an author. Today, it's Coach Mike White. What's up, Coach Mike White?
Hey, Dave, how are you?
I'm doing awesome. It is fantastic to interview you. Every time, again, I think it's, I don't even know how many times I've interviewed you, but there's some of my favorite interviews because you just, I don't know, you have a brand of authenticity and candor that's uncommon. So looking forward to seeing what you have to share today.
Well, Dave, let me be honest with you. Sometimes my authenticity and candor can be more trouble than it's worth. But the reality of it is, sugarcoating the issue really never helps the problem. You have to go out there and address these things head on and figure out what the solutions are. So as we always say, it's about, knowing what the work is and getting out there and doing it. And I love being on these calls and sharing with you. And I get a really good response from your people because, let's be honest, mortgage coach people tend to get it more than the average, LOs do. And, that's a big deal. And so, I'm thrilled to be here. I love all the, the connections with your people, and let's spend this hour having some fun and helping some people out.
Sounds good. So before we kick off this conversation, Mike, I just want to do a quick review and a recap of some things that are going on in the mortgage coach community. If you are not part of our Facebook group, Mortgage Coach Productivity Mastermind, get in here. Over the weekend, I changed the whatever the cover image is to really encapsulate this quote. Technology's not going to replace loan officers, but loan officers that leverage technology, that master technology, will absolutely replace those that don't. And I believe this now more than ever. The more top producers, the more leaders I interview, the more it's just clear that that's the case. I want to shine a light on an interview I did yesterday with Adam Black. Adam is based out of Mississippi. He's a top producer by all measures. He averages between 120 and 150 loans, but he's been losing a lot of loans this year. He is concerned about some of the changes that are happening in the market. And again, listen to this interview. He went from delivering 50% of his clients got a total cost analysis to 100%, and he's just done that over the past 30 days. And he just talks about the experience. He shares a few success stories. He shares a great script at the end. Make sure you guys check this out. I'm not going to go through all the posts, but Jen Duplessis did a great job, had an incredible call. Check that out. Obviously, big news this week is Zillow has acquired a mortgage company. Be interesting to see how that unfolds. But again, guys, we've been talking about this, how the digital mortgage, the technology companies that do mortgages, they're coming fast. I did a great interview with Pat Stone last week, where he just talks about how important the next 12 months are in every loan officer's career. It's time to get busy. So if you do have a question for by the way, make sure you watch this quick hit 1-minute video from Coach Todd Bookspan. He's going to be interviewing a top realtor coming up on our Friday mastermind. So post some questions below. Anyways, we can spend the whole call going through what's happening in mortgage coach community land. But I want to dedicate this call to anyone out there that you're either missing your goals for the year or you're flat out struggling. You're having trouble, whether that's your mindset, your production, you got challenges. This call's for you. If you do have questions, Mike and I have already talked that we're going to make this as interactive as the questions come in. So literally within minutes of you asking questions, I'll just interrupt Mike and we'll get to them. So please bring them. So Mike, I'm going to kick it off. What's your guess on what number of loan officers are either missing their goals or struggling this year, as we get into August 2018?
Well, Dave, it's really a mixed bag. With my own clients, I see, still steady improvement because the business has been better this year than last in most of the markets that my guys are working in. We've never been really refinance centric. We've always been purchase centric to the business. So my guys are usually pretty steady. The companies that I've spoke to, and some of the people that I've talked to are out there. And obviously there's a lot of mortgage people who've come into the marketplace out of the refinance shops and trying to vie for purchase business. And so I would say that, if we've gone from, at one time a 70% refinance business down to, 40 or 50% or less refinance business, and it keeps falling, there's a lot more stress. And we've seen it in margins, and we've seen it in competitions and the number of people showing up. So I get it. And the reality of this just keeps coming back to the same thing, regardless of the market or the competition or anything else. Something I share with my people is you don't have enough business because you don't talk to enough people. And so what I've tried to prepare for you guys today is to have a conversation about what can we do in the next 60 days to really put in a 60-day burn to change some things up over what we're doing, because the reality of it is, without changing the work that we're doing, we're never going to change the result.
Love that. And so, by the way, I don't know if you've seen this, Mike, but I've seen a lot of new loan officers getting into the space. And maybe it's just our community. We attract them. They watch our YouTube videos to learn the mortgage business. But I mean, every single day, new loan officers are joining this Facebook group. And I'm hearing success stories. I mean, I am surprised with just how many new loan officers that are 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, in their second and third year, they're doing more business than a lot of loan officers have been doing this for a long time. So I'm also finding that new loan officers who get into it and do it right really have a big upside. So let's make sure we're intentional that this call is valuable to strugglers and new LOs. So let's kick it off with what is the August of 2018 Coach Mike White 60-day burn. What is that, or quick start, or whatever you call it? What is the playbook?
Well, first of all, is you got to take away the excuse of August. So many people get into, oh my God, people are on vacation. Oh my God, people are busy going back to school, or it's too hot. If I had $1 for every time somebody told me that you didn't do any business in this marketplace for any one of those excuses, I'd be long since retired. But the reality of August is it's very real. When we started the summer, we were not quite all the way through half of the year, and we're going to come out of the summer 3/4 of the way through it. So one of the things that I prompt and prod my clients to do is to be real focused and to understand that they've got to commit to the process. And that means 2 hours a day, every day, prospecting in an area where I directly connect with live people, not emailing people, not texting people. And for God's sakes, those of you who are doing slide dial calls to people, the people wasting their time trying to set appointments or having somebody dial people to set appointments with realtors, you got to get past all that stuff. And you got to work with them with some strategies that are actually going to turn the corner for you to get you in front of real live business. Because it comes back to this, and you've touched on it a little bit, and I've been working on this. In fact, all of my work toward next year is defending our mortgage practice and the real estate practice against algorithms that are trying to put us out of business. So we want to get out there and find the physical activities, the face-to-face things. And a couple of the things that I dealt with were making sure that we're growing and talking to our database, making sure that we're physically out there and getting in front of people, say at open houses, dealing with other professionals that we've already dealt with to secure a spot in their mindset. And clearly, one of the most underutilized areas of the business is getting out there in front of small banks and credit unions who don't have a portfolio of products that match our own, that we can fill joint opportunities with to both refer business and collect business from. So those are the things I want to touch on, and I want to, let's have a discussion, you and me, about taking one of those things at a time and expanding on that thought process.
Well, let's do this. So community, I want to make sure, one, you guys are awake, and I like to do these calls as mastermind format. So please, the more of you that answer the question I'm going to ask right now, the better. You can either answer it in the Q&A section of the Zoom meeting or in chat, but I want to know right now, what is your biggest challenge? And by the way, I'm not going to call you up if you tell me it's the summer heat or everybody's on vacation. Don't worry, we're not going to judge you. But the way you're going to get the most value is to just put pen to paper. What are your biggest challenges today in the market? With no other framing, I see marketing service agreements as a challenge. I see big banks have lower rates, getting rate shopped more than ever. Biggest challenges is overcoming the begging mentality, inventorying, what to say to convert buyers, getting out of the office into those face-to-face meetings, getting real time with realtors, actually getting realtors to take my phone call, building a team at the right price. As a manager, helping my team stay focused on the best activities. So by the way, guys, this is fantastic. Keep it coming. Please give us some more challenges. How to build trust with new realtors. Let me go back to questions. Gosh, you guys are killing it. Marketing, inventory, getting new clients, dealing with new construction lender relationships, prioritizing the best activities, focused on marketing activities. So Mike, I'm sure you've never heard any of that before. And by the way, guys, those are real issues. So I don't want to trivialize any of them because they are absolute struggles of the marketplace today. I'm surprised I didn't see, here we go. The big banks have terrible service. However, they are killing us on price with high balance loans. By the way, I hear that all the time. And again, Mike and I aren't going to give you a silver bullet and say we're going to remove that challenge, but we are going to give you some ideas that can help you get past it. All right, Adam Black, what's up, Adam? How to build new trust with old realtors. Show them the new you. So like, hey, there's a new management in town. I like that. Sorry for calling you out there, Adam. I just had to. All right, man. So we're going to start rolling, Coach. Speak to some of those. And remember, folks, if you do have a question for Mike or myself, there's going to be plenty of time for us to get to those. So I'll let you roll with the table set.
Okay. And in all fairness, there are a lot of questions out there. I'll do my best to answer as many of them as I can with what I'm seeing. And I will go into the community a little later as the day permits my schedule. I will go in and try to answer as many of the questions or things that people post on the community site and elicit help from other people to answer those questions. Because I do go into the community site. I try to answer questions when I can, when I think it's appropriate. So let's talk about some of the things that you brought up. And I heard a lot of things about the last thing I brought up was the big banks. And let's all be clear. Not every customer is your customer, because somebody is going to do something better or has a way of doing it cheaper than you do. But, one of the things I tell my people is when confronted with either online lenders or the big bank having a price, well, you know what? The rate isn't great if the closing is late. If they can't make the deal happen, if they don't know what they're doing, if they can't make it all go like clockwork, there is specific value in you doing this. The other point to this thing is not all big banks and not all of these things are doing all of these loans. I have my guys on a regular basis hitting small banks and credit unions. Many small banks and credit unions don't do FHA, VA, or USDA or bond program loans. Many of them don't have access to some of the jumbo products that are out there. But many of them have products that you can't offer, and that's where the synergy comes in. Maybe they have certain loan products that you can't do. Well, what would be the harm in you referring it to that bank? If you know you can't do that loan, you might as well give it over to somebody who can and look for the law of reciprocity to kick in, because there are certain loans you're not going to be able to do. A lot of times those small banks and those credit unions are out there and they would love to have somebody that they could refer their business to. And even the big banks, let's be honest, there's been enough media, information on some of the biggest lenders of the past and the fines that they're paying on a regular basis for having done things that were not necessarily in the best interest of their clients. And this comes back down to, what's the value? You win this argument every time by creating value and local expertise, because there's not a national lender out there that can play to every market and know your market conditions. You've got to take what's important in your marketplace to that particular area or community or people that you're working with and engage with a solution. What are the challenges? Every one of you sees challenges. So let's talk about going to those things, and one of you addressed it. You feel like you're begging for business. Don't ever beg for business. I don't want you being Oliver Twist. I want you out there sharing your value proposition and showing people. And one of the things that I like to do, especially with newer loan officers or existing loan officers that haven't done it in a while, go to open houses. But before you go to that open house, do a total cost analysis. Make sure that you have it available to share with the realtor and the people that are there. But don't miss the hidden gem in open houses, the seller. That seller is moving. You need to communicate with that seller. You know where they live. Send them a letter. Apply for the job of being their next loan officer. Share with them the ability to see the total cost analysis on their own house and be willing to provide one for the house they're looking to buy. And for those of you who aren't committed to the total cost analysis, just understand you got to commit to the process. If you're on this call and you're using Mortgage Coach, you got to commit to doing it 100% of the time, because doing it 70 or 80 or 60 or 50 or 40 or 25% of the time, or not doing it for somebody that you think may not be in a position to understand or appreciate the material, great. They don't have to look at it. They may know somebody that does want to look at it. They may know somebody that they go to for help. What if they say they take that TCA and they go to their accountant or their financial planner or their uncle or their father and ask for help and they see it? I think it's important that you make sure that you understand these things. So in the 60-day burn in August, it's about understanding the market. Yeah, people may be on vacation. It may be hot. But you'll find people out there still doing open houses and still buying property. Your competition is less if they believe that nobody does business in August. I can't tell you how many LOs that I have, especially those in Arizona who tell me, oh my God, it's 120 degrees. Nobody does business. And yet I got a loan officer in Arizona and nobody does business in Arizona is closing 16 loans this month. Well, I guess there's 16 people that did business. I mean, it's only important, not that you get all the business, but you get the business that you need. So when we continue to talk about this is engagement. Some of the people got on and they said, finding the time. Well, time is relevant. You got to schedule the time. If you don't schedule the time, if you don't put it into your thing and say, I'm going, it's not going to happen.
Hey, Coach, before we go fly past that strategy of open houses and targeting the seller, I just want to put a big exclamation mark around that. Also, folks, if you have done that strategy, again, open houses is something we talk about a lot. My most recent interview with Nicole Solari, who, again, 4 years as a realtor, closed 197 transactions last year. #1 referral source is open houses. Link down below. Check that interview out. There's just so much opportunity with open houses. And when I created our lead generation playbook for local mortgage advisors, your database is by far your #1 place for lead generation where you should be spending time. But open houses is really high on the list. So one, I want to make sure everybody really captured that. And two, if you've done what Coach Mike White just talked about, where you approach the open house, you use the total cost analysis, and you were very intentional about the seller, as he put it, applying for the job. If that's a strategy that you've done successfully, let me know down below. I would love to get a success story on that. We're going to start a conversation in our Facebook just around that one strategy. So if you've done it, let us know you've done it. And then literally this weekend, guys, get out there and do it. So Mike, I just wanted to make sure we didn't fly past that idea without getting some engagement, driving some action for the weekend ahead. I'll let you keep riffing.
Well, Dave, it's like Wayne Gretzky says, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, right? It's about taking a shot. You get 100% of what you don't ask for. If you don't reach out to that seller and you don't apply for the job or be in their next LO, you don't offer them some value. You don't put yourself out there and say, hey, look, if you already have a lender, let me offer you a second opinion. Now, you may go to 1 or 2 open houses a week, and you may you may reach out to 50 or 100 sellers a year. What percentage of those would have to turn into deals to make it worth it? The other thing about the open house is use that as leverage with the realtor that's there, whether you know them or not, to connect with the 20, 30, 40 neighbors that surround that property. Be willing to go out there and share with them, hey, by the way, the house at 123 Main Street is currently listed for sale. Would you like to come over and take a look? Do you know anybody that's talked about wanting to live here? Oh, by the way, how long have you lived in the neighborhood? Share with us. What do you like best about this neighborhood? You engage in those conversations, and you're going to find that curious neighbor. You're going to find that next seller who's hey, if that house is worth 400, my house has got to be worth 500. Well, let's the realtor get in there and take a look around and do a CMA, let you know exactly what it's worth. Why wouldn't you engage those people around there? You're already there at the open house. What would it hurt to have yours, have a flyer about yourself or have your total cost analysis easily emailed or text to somebody? Or put it on Facebook and have them go and look at your Facebook page. Hey, I'm visiting 123 Main Street. Go to my Facebook page here and look at the total cost analysis. I put it's right here. You can go look at it, or I'll email it to you. I don't know how many people you'll engage, but why wouldn't you use the tool if you're already there and you already have it? It costs you nothing to share it.
Hey, Mike. Someone asked a question, just trying to get tactical, because let's face it, the seller's usually not at the open house. It's the realtor. So if you could just kind of go through a couple of the tactical approaches to get to the seller and to get the total cost analysis to them, even though they're not at the actual open house. Any thoughts, ideas?
You can either leave them a note while you're there. You're there, you know the address, send them a note. I was at your house yesterday at the open house. Really loved the kitchen, really loved the pool, really loved the fireplace. Pick a feature of that property to make it personal. By the way, I've also taken the time to provide some information for this realtor to help people understand what it would take to get into a house like yours. You can find, I'd be happy to send you a total cost analysis on this property. You can reach out to me, you can call me, you can see it on my Facebook page, wherever it is that you want to put it. And then again, I have one loan officer actually sends their resume. When they say, I'm applying for the job of being your next loan officer, they actually send their resume. Here's my resume. This is how long I've been in the business. You can look me up on MLS. It'll tell you I've been in the business 18 years. You imagine somebody in the business 18 years and they still religiously go to open houses, okay? It's experience that's verifiable through a third party. And so when we talk about these things, and I know everybody, and nobody does everything, by the way. Nobody.
And by the way, time out, Coach, because someone else just threw in that they create a move up TCA. So guys, this is where community comes in. First of all, what are your ideas for that person who said, hey, leave a move up total cost analysis? I'd love to see an example of that. I'm going to write a post in our Facebook group right now saying, hey, who's who's doing this strategy and what approaches are you doing. But to Mike's point, I mean, when someone's got their home listed, you know that there's a transaction. Yes, some of them are moving out of state, but the likelihood is they're buying another home and they're buying it locally, whether they're moving up, moving down. So get after it. And please, community, share your ideas and strategies, how you're engaging with those prospects. Keep going, Mike.
Well, David, you hit a really important point there. It's another engagement strategy to also talk to the realtor. You know as well as I do, many times you go to these open houses, the realtor that's at the open house is not the listing agent. It's somebody who's there trying to get in front of future opportunities. Why sharing these total cost analysis, like you said, a move up? Why wouldn't you engage that realtor and say, somebody who's coming to look at this house? Most everybody who comes to look at this house can't buy this house because only one person can. Are they not buying this house because it's too much, it's too little? Where is that person going? It's an intelligent conversation that you can have with that agent. Ask the agent, do you know about the sellers? What's the seller doing? I've got people who sit there and say, well, you know what? They're selling this house and they're trading down. Oh my God, well, that's a different conversation. Or they're moving to this neighborhood. Well, great. So imagine if you follow up with that realtor and said, yeah, I had a lot of people looked at this house, but it wasn't big enough. Hey, let's talk to the realtor and say, the people who didn't like the house because it wasn't big enough, can you give me one or two listings that are similar to this house, but larger, that meet their needs? Let me do a total cost analysis on those properties for you, and you can share it with them. Come on, use your head and look at the connections. It's amazing the versatility of the product. And as it's been mentioned before, you got it. You might as well use it. And it's another way of following up with that agent and making an offer of a strategy that generates an opportunity. Because again, something that I share all the time, think about this. Our business is not really about lead generation. Our business is about the creation of opportunities and converting those opportunities into closed transactions. That's really what we're going to do. If you think about this as leads only, you leave yourself open to getting beat up by an algorithm. So think about this going forward. Open houses, there's so many different ways to approach them. There's so many different connections that you can make to them. There's so many ways of using your existing technologies where one total cost analysis can be used 20, 30, 40 times to increase the opportunities for yourself, your referral partners. And oh, by the way, what kind of loyalty do you think you get from that agent if you use one of these strategies and you get a listing opportunity for that realtor? Because some of the people you talk to turn around and ask you for a total cost analysis on another house, and you could refer them back to that agent. Hey, let me call the realtor that was there and let's get you in, go to see it. Or let me get the realtor over to take a look at your house and tell you what they think the value really is, and I'll be able to do a total cost analysis for you on that. Connect the dots. In many ways, you don't need new opportunities. You just need to expand your horizons and your view to realize how many opportunities you're really coming in front of, and making sure that you're filtering each one of those opportunities into, this is never my deal. I can't compete with, and my favorite line about online lenders, and in many cases, if you're going to get into I saw this rate online. Well, great. If you're going to compete with rate on an online lender, if rate's the only thing of value, you're probably going to end up with the best liar on the internet. How many people stop and pause and say, well, wait a minute, there's a lot to be said about that? Because more of this is also about timing, the speed, the comfort of the transaction. Yeah, you're not going to get them all. And that person who's solely focused on getting the lowest rate is probably not going to get the lowest rate and probably going to have a bad experience. And more times than not in my career, with all the loans that I was involved in, 2 times in my entire career did somebody ever come back and say, you know what, you were right. I didn't get what they promised. They lied to me, and I just wanted to let you know that you were right. I know it happened a lot more than that. You're never going to know. But it's important to the agent, and it's important to you to understand where the value play is to people who see the value in that quality of the experience. Let me go on to this and say the other thing that we're doing that I wanted to bring back to you is one of the things that you can do that works really well for my people is run the small bank and credit union route. Each and every one of you can pick one day a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, when you can identify the day and pick 5 small banks and credit unions, north, south, east, and west of you, and each week run one of them. Walk into that small bank or credit union, find the manager, and ask them, hey, what type of business are you looking for? I'm a mortgage lender. I don't do checking accounts, savings accounts, car loans, all these other things that I don't do. What type of business are you looking for, and how do I refer it to you? See what they say. And then at the end of that conversation, say, okay, what about mortgage products? What do you offer? What don't you offer? And see if there is a synergy. Again, how many small banks and lending institutions do you need? And again, if you're only visiting 5, you can get out there into the marketplace in less than 2 hours, have 5 conversations. Even if you get thrown out, find another place and go there. Because even one small bank, even 2 small banks or credit unions sending you business could turn into 2, 3, 4, 5 loans a month, managing one relationship. It's too big of a thing not for you to take advantage of at least trying it in your marketplace. But again, if you don't schedule it, it'll never happen.
Hey, Coach, before we move off of that, I would like to know how many people on this call are doing that. You are approaching small banks, credit unions in your local market, looking for opportunities, referrals, turn downs. You're building those relationships. So if you're doing that and you're having success, let us know. And if you're watching the recording of this, we would love to know who's doing it. Someone just said, seriously, never thought of it. So please let us know what kind of results you're having. And if you are a success story with this strategy, like, hey, I've been doing this for years, kill it. I'm doing great production. It's one of my channels of business. I would love to know, because I am currently studying what are the best lead generation strategies for local mortgage pros. And if this is going to bubble up and make the list, I want to know. Eddie just said I have a credit union. So please, this strategy is not currently on our, my lead generation playbook. It hasn't. I mean, I know the idea. I know the strategy. I've heard people here and there do it, but I haven't put it on the book yet. So if you're having success, please let Mike and I know what you're doing and what kind of success you're having. Keep it rolling, Mike. I'm loving it.
Okay, one of the last things I wanted to bring up before we go into more of the specific questions and answers, and I'll answer them directly, is one of the strategies that I really engage with this time of year is and this takes a little bit of work and a little bit of preparation, but follow along and you'll see how this turns into something. Is as we approach August, I have every one of my clients go through their deals that they've done this past year and take a look at every set of tax returns that they've collected during the course of their time. Every one of those tax returns. Now, many of my clients, I've instructed all of them to do that. Not all of them do, but I instruct all of them when they get tax returns to call the accountant and verify that they got the final version of the tax returns that they really filed, so that they avoid any surprises when when the transcripts come in. And for any of you who have ever had a deal blow up because the transcripts didn't match the tax returns that you got, you'll know why making that phone call is pretty valuable. But if you have people who have given you tax returns and you had an accountant that prepared those tax returns, and whether you did or didn't reach out to them about that deal is not necessarily as important as reaching out to them right after Labor Day. And I send them a very short letter. I say, look, I've done business with mutual clients of ours in the past. I know in September you're getting ready to reach out to all of your clients that filed for tax extensions back in April because their filings are due, their tax returns are due in October. And I know you're getting ready to reach out all of them and get them those tax returns. Many of those clients probably have complicated financial situations, which is the reason they asked for the extension. Well, now is a really important time for you to ask them a single question that is, are you planning on buying or selling a house in the next 2 years? And the reason we ask that is because if we're filing 2017 tax returns in October of 2018, there's an opportunity that we can file 2017 tax returns in October and file 2018's in February. And in less than 6 months, we've got 2 years worth of documentable income. Now, again, many of the accountants aren't going to figure it out. Many of the accountants aren't going to see the value in it. How many do you need? How many do you have to find that have a list of clients who have multiple streams of income that are going to see that, wow, that really does make sense? Maybe I really should ask that question. Maybe you should sit down with my customer and talk to them about what their plans are so that we make sure that we have, we've got documented, we're able to show these things. How many people run these businesses and through the accounting wizardry of the world, they either don't pay any taxes or they have a lot of deductions in there that could have been done another way or postponed to another time so that they would show more documentable income so that they could afford the mortgage, they could get the mortgage on the house they really want to buy. Again, not everybody understands it, but the ones that do generally have a lot of clients. And oh, by the way, not for nothing, those clients tend to be high dollar volume clients. They tend to also have not only accountants, but they tend to have financial planners and attorneys that handle other high value clients. And by bringing you into the mix, you can form associations, you can form connections to those people. And ultimately, you have to think about this, okay? Just like we had the news with Zillow going out and buying a bank. Loan officers, you're going to be under attack from automated services. Heck, even Fannie Mae now has day one certainty. Okay, Quicken is out there doing 8-minute loans. Zillow just bought a mortgage bank. But understand, we have common enemies with common referral partners. Realtors are dealing with, Zillow and Open Door, and now Amazon wants to jump into the real estate business. Accountants are dealing with algorithms. And do you think an accountant's going to refer somebody to an online lender? That would be the same thing as saying, hey, go to QuickBooks or TurboTax. You don't need me. Attorneys, you think they're going to send somebody to LegalZoom? No, they're going to send them to a person, a local expert and authority. Your financial planners are under attack from algorithms through companies like E-Trade and other online sources. Hell, your insurance professionals, they're under attack from companies like the General and Progressive, who say the only thing that matters is price, not the quality of the experience. If you're not going to go out there and create value around the quality of the experience, if you're not going to set expectations, if you're not going to make it happen, if you're not going to make the transaction better, you're going to have a huge problem. And I just saw something pop up, somebody who talked about parade of homes. I used to have a loan officer because I used to do it. We used to have a caravan in the area that I used to work in, and I used to put together back then what was a cost sheet with loan scenarios on it. We didn't have Mortgage Coach back when I first started. Imagine if you put together, fact sheets and did total cost analysis on each house, and you could email them or text them or put it on social media or get it in the hands of every one of the realtors. They'll see value in it. Not all of them will, but you don't need all of them. Most of us are concerned about doing 100, 150, 200 transactions a year, and we're going to be thrilled. You don't need to do the thousands of transactions that are available in your marketplace. You just need 100 or 2, most of us, to be very happy. And so think about how that's going to happen. Think about how you use this time that you have in August and September. And the last thing that I'll bring up, by the way, for those of you who are looking to work with their realtors, is back to school. In many parts of the country, people are already back to school or getting ready to go back to school. You can have an opportunity to work with your realtors and bring them real value. How many people have they sold houses to in the last few years that had kids? It's probably most of them. Now, the next level is as those kids get older, their schools change, their lifestyle change, their location changes, the times they go to school changes, their circumstance changes. Those houses no longer function as well for them as they did then. It's an excellent opportunity for your realtor to call and say, hey, I know the kids just went back to school. How you making out? How are things going? Oh, it's such a hassle. The kids used to go to school across the street, but now they're in middle school or high school, and I got to drive them all the way across town, and traffic is miserable. Really? Well, what if I could find you a similar house that was close to the high school? Would that be something you'd be interested in looking at? Or even if you don't say that, you look for a high school, you look for a house near the high school that's similar to what they got, and send them, oh, hey, I saw this house right down the block from the high school. Would you be interested in seeing this one? Total cost analysis, boom, guess what? We know exactly what it would cost us to sell our house, move into the next one. You have to be thinking about connecting the dots, because if you don't connect the dots, the algorithm's going to eat your lunch. And like Dave said before, it's not about technology taking your business away. Well, technology is going to take business away. I'm convinced that many realtors and loan officers over the next 5 to 7 years are going to be out of the industry completely because they didn't take advantage of understanding what they're up against. And they've ignored the fact that if you don't master the use of your technology to control the environment and create value and a great experience for your customer, you're going to get replaced, as Dave says, by somebody that does.
So guys, we're a little less than 20 minutes left in this call, and I want to kind of wrap a bow around it. I want to make sure we're available to answer questions. But, Mike just did a great job of sharing ideas that regardless of your experience level, whether you're new, whether you're struggling, you can get out there and get after it. You may not have a lot of realtor relationships, but you can go to open houses. And by the way, the realtor may ignore you, but you can find out who the seller is and have an approach that will help you get to that seller and audition as their next loan officer and give them some tangible value. You can go hit some small banks and credit unions. And by the way, a number of folks said, yeah, I've got a credit union. Yeah, I've got a small bank. You can get out there and get after it. You can reach out to CPAs, financial planners. He gave you some ideas on, what to say and call up past customers and, hey, are you going to buy a house in 2 years? So I would just call those strategies that regardless of whether you're new or whether you're just struggling, you can do those. But there's 3 things that I think, I don't want to call them more important than those ideas, but they're the core difference when I'm interviewing loan officers that are struggling. Usually when I ask them 3 questions, they don't have the right answer. And when I talk to top loan officers, they're killing it. And I ask them these 3 questions, usually they have the right answers. And they fit 3 buckets. One, it's daily use of CRM. I ask them, how often do you use your CRM? Is it something you use daily throughout the day? Top producers, absolutely, we live on that thing. We're always capturing personalized data so that we can market and keep our promises. That is a difference maker. So if you're anything less than 100% of living and using your CRM daily and you're struggling, I would just tell you, fix it. Start using your CRM daily and rigorously. And by the way, these are not necessarily in order of priority because really, if you don't have all 3 of these, you are not optimizing your success. The next one I'm going to use is MortgageCoach. In the interview I just did, where it was a loan officer that went from 50% to 100% of the families got a total cost analysis. Guys, for the gentleman, someone just posted something implying, Mike, that you were saying that, hey, we might as well give our business to the big banks. And, for who put that, first of all, thank you for engaging in the community. Great feedback. I think Mike's point was, you are going to lose some loans. That's true. Just because you lost a loan doesn't mean what you're doing is not working. But if you're not giving the best experience at the point of sale and you're using MortgageCoach, total cost analysis, graphs, and charts, you're going to lose more loans. You're not going to optimize your conversion rate. And I would urge everybody on this call, if you have not studied the lead conversion playbook, and go through that playbook. And if you're not doing just about everything on that playbook, there's 3 core principles, 13 strategies. If you're doing them all, you're going to have a great conversion. And by the way, that is so important in today's market, that you have a great conversion. And number 3 is how much prospecting are you doing? How much time are you actually spending calling realtors, proactively selling? If it's not 2 or more hours a day, that's might be the biggest problem I find in the marketplace. So Mike, I'm going to open it up to you in just a second. Marcy, I do want to find out with the crew that we have on the call right now, if you could push the poll question of how often they're delivering a total cost analysis to their families. What percentage of the families you serve get a total cost analysis? Marcy's going to push a poll question right here. If you guys could take a minute and answer that. I'd really like to just go through this question within like 30 seconds. So please answer, is it under 25%? By the way, if the answer is never, check that last option, under 25%. 25 to 50% of my families get it. Over 70%. By the way, I like the results, folks. So good job. I mean, obviously this is the Mortgage Coach community. We're about 30 seconds into this community, and I am proud to say that 44% of the people on this call are giving it to 100 or over 75% of their clients. So good job, guys. And only 32% of you are doing it less than 25%. So great job. Kudos to you. I'm going to end that poll question. Marcy, and by the way, I'm going to share the results real quick, just so you guys can see it for yourself. Those are the results. So, but again, anybody who's doing it less than 75%, go to 100%. If you're stuck, if you're struggling, just check this off the box. Remove this as an issue or a problem. Marcy, if you could push the next poll question on CRM. How often are you using your CRM? I'm going to get the answer to this real quick. And then Mike, we'll have about 10 minutes left. We'll try to hit a few questions and then be ready to close it for everybody. If you're struggling, remove these things from the list. Marcy, the CRM question. How often are you using your CRM? That is coming at you. Please answer it quickly so we can get into the rest of the content. Mike, while we're waiting for that survey to pop up, anything else you want to add?
Well, I think the important piece that you're talking about when you're talking about the CRM is, people often get lost in automated CRMs and think that, sending a barrage of emails and things like that are doing the trick. And I think you've got to follow up. I think you've got to make it personal. You've got to engage in picking up the phone and talking to your people. You've seen this a lot. We've talked about this in the past. I've got clients who've improved their business 20, 30, 40, 50% simply by picking up the phone and making a birthday call on their clients' birthdays, and picking up the phone and doing the annual review, sending them information, sure, by email, but picking up the phone and asking them, did you get the information that I sent you about the annual review? Now, again, a lot of people are not going to answer the phone. A lot of people are going to send the voicemail. A lot of people you're not going to hear back from. But it takes less than 10 or 15 minutes a day to make these phone calls to wish people a happy birthday or to ask about their annual reviews. What percentage of these people that would have to turn into a referral or a closed loan to make it worthwhile? It's the same thing about using the total cost analysis. What percentage, how long does it take you to do a total cost analysis? If you did a total cost analysis on every one of your deals and then shared it either as we've explained or just with the person that you're doing the total cost analysis with, what percentage of those would have to turn into transactions for you to give you one hell of a return rate on that time investment of using a product that you've already paid for?
Yeah, I love it. So by the way, guys, check it out. So it was 40-something% done at TCA, Less than that use their CRM on everybody. So by the way, those are things that everybody on this call or everybody that listens to the recording that you're struggling, that's just a decision. Everybody gets a TCA. I use my CRM every day. Decision. If you made that decision, first of all, I promise you, you will close more loans. And I promise you, your confidence and your attitude will just go up. You'll be proud of yourself. You'll show up better in the marketplace. You'll be more confident. You'll get after it. And then, of course, the third one, which is just getting after it. And we could do a whole call on that, making calls, prospecting. But here's the deal. I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of folks that aren't doing it, it's not because you're incapable of it. It's that emotional hurdle. And you've let yourself down so many times, you missed so many promises to yourself, you're just not doing it. So the things like everybody gets a total cost analysis, the things like I'm going to use my CRM, those are the types of things that build your confidence up so that you start getting after it and making those calls. So we got 10 minutes left. I would also love it if anybody does have a question around and I'm going to ask you this question, Mike, but if you have a question around what do I do to prospect more? I don't know if you've ever had a call for someone that's like, hey, I know I'm calling less than an hour a day or less than 5 hours a week. But by the way, coach, for someone who's struggling or someone's new in the business, how much prospecting time should they be doing? Answer that, and then share some strategies for people to just get over the emotional hurdle and actually go from struggling at prospecting to thriving and doing it more. Any advice?
Sure. With my clients, it's really straightforward. I insist on a minimum of 2 hours every day. As loan originators, there's only three things you do. You prospect for new opportunities, you process the information that you've got from prospecting for those opportunities, and you manage the communications from the other two areas of business. And the reality it comes down to is scheduling. I tell people 2 hours between the hours of 10 and 3 to get out there and do the work, make the calls, don't try to schedule appointments for people. And here's the thing, it's all about diversity. Make it fun. Don't do the same thing every day. There are three basic areas of business. You've got realtor builder business, you've got other professionals who can send you business, and then you've got your consumer director, your databasing business. There's three areas. And you should look at your business and where it's coming from so you understand what percentage of your business is coming from each one of those areas and realize what's your time commitment to those three areas. Because if you're getting 50% of your business from realtors, but you're spending 70% of your time getting it, you need to revisit that conversation. If you're not getting any business from other professionals or your database, you need to understand where's your commitment. So what I have my people do is they commit 2 hours a day, every day that they're planning on working, to getting out there and engaging the marketplace with one of the three areas of business. And they have to cover all three at least once. They have to spend 1 day minimum working with realtors and builders, 1 day minimum getting in front of other professionals, 1 day minimum working on their database and their consumer direct. They can spend all the other time they want doing whatever they want, but they must maintain those 2 hours every day. Now, for those of you who don't have anything going on, you have more time. And it can be just simply a matter of walking around. We talked to Christy Solar, who started this business a few years ago and had no choice but to make money right out of the chute. And Dave, she shared the story with you. My first instruction was, you got to get business right away. You got to tell people you're in the business. She handed out 50 business cards a day to random people for 90 days. In her third month, she closed 8 loans, and she averages over 200 loans a year after year for over the last 5 years. I mean, you got to start someplace, and it comes back to you don't have enough business because you don't talk to enough people. How are you going to gauge? Find something you will do, and then go do it to share what it is that you do and how you create value.
Love that. And anybody who has not watched, I think it's less than 20 minutes. 12-minute interview with Josh Metal called Gratitude for Greatness. Absolute must watch. He talks about his prospecting rhythms. He talks about how he psychs himself up. For the person at the beginning of the call who said, hey, I'm a manager, he talks about how he leads his branch to do 2 hours of prospecting every single day. So homework assignment for you guys, check it out. By the way, Mike, I love that reminder about Chrissy, because everybody can pass out business cards, and I just going back from memory, she was passing them out at grocery stores. Now, again, not every personality could do that. And I'm not here to say, hey, you need to pass out 50 business cards a day to every single person that you touch. But if you're new in the business or you're struggling in the business, you could do that and you could turn it around, and by the way, I love the way you kind of categorized it. Realtors one day, past customers another day, and what was the other one? Past customers, the wealth team, CPAs, financial planners, etc.
Small banks and credit unions. Get some tasks and mix it up. It makes it fun. It's so that, one of the problems we have in our business is we don't have a beginning or an end of our day, because it's not structured that way for many people. So we kind of just go to bed thinking the business and wake up in the morning and we haven't done anything. You've got to start your day and end your day and know that what you did was what you were supposed to do that day. If you know you got to make these 25 phone calls, if you know you're going to make these 5 small bank visits, if you know you're going to visit these 3 open houses and collect information and talk to the realtors and talk to the people that are there and send a letter to the seller, and you don't even have to know their name. You got the address, you're standing in front of the house. Just put the address on the envelope and send them a letter. You got, again, Wayne Gretzky put it perfectly. You don't score on any of the shots you don't take. The reality of this is you get 100% of what you don't ask for. You got to put yourself in there to create value. And here's the beauty part. You don't have to be right all the time. Christy hands out 50 business cards a day, every day for 3 months, and she's closing 8 loans a month. How many of those business cards got thrown away? A bunch. What do you care? And I told her when she got disappointed, you know what, Christy, you hand out the business card and somebody throws it away. 2 billion people in China just don't care. The only thing this has got to matter to is you. Did you set out a path that you thought was commensurate with prospecting to the amount of money and the living you'd like to make? Are the 2 hours I'm going to invest in my business today going to generate the opportunities that I need to make the money that I want to make? If the answer is no, then fix it. And if the answer is yes, make sure you keep scheduling it and doing it. Because ultimately, some things will happen right away. Sometimes things take months before they work. Who cares? Tomorrow's coming either way. It's what you do today. And it's part of my company, right? You've heard me say it 1,000 times. Do something today that improves your tomorrow. It is what we need to do, because you have to have some sort of organized plan, because if you don't schedule it, it's not getting done.
So Mike, we're in the last few minutes. Anybody who wants to connect with you outside of this call, whether it's a new loan officer, a struggler, someone who's thriving and just wants to go to the next level, what's the best way for them to reach out to you, connect with you?
You can email me, mike@imtcoaching.com. You can find Michael White, the Mortgage Mentor, on Facebook or Twitter. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm in West Palm Beach, Florida. However you feel. I had a number of people reach out to me before we even made the call and asked to connect and whatever. And like I said, I'll go into the site later on this afternoon and tonight. I'll try to answer as many questions as I can. But feel free to email me. I promise you I will reply to your email within 24 hours of you sending it. I'm not committed to the process, and I don't care what the question is. There's no such thing as a stupid question unless you fail to ask a question because you think it's stupid. I've been at this way too long. I've heard it all. You're not going to shock me. Trust me. I'm 62 years old almost. I've raised 6 kids. I got 3 grandchildren. I've been in the mortgage business for longer than I want to tell everybody about this stuff. First loan I closed, 15 7/8 and 5 points, and it took 3 days for the wire to show up. So please don't complain and interest rates are at 4 or 5 or whatever. I'm not buying into it. So here's the deal. Reach out. I will help you if you call. I can't help you if you don't.
Love it. And folks, if you have questions, success stories, especially, I really want to hear, how are you guys doing at getting to the seller of listings? Love to hear some success stories on that. And for anyone that has any type of consistent success with credit unions and small banks, please share it. Put it in our group and share it so that everybody in the community can see it. Mike, super grateful for the hour you took today to share so candidly, so passionately. Everybody, we hope you got value from today's call. I am going to push the last question. Did we surpass your expectations? Did you get a wow? Did you get some takeaways? If you are a guest on this call and you want to demo a mortgage coach, you heard about that total cost analysis thing, and you want to get a demo, click the last option. I'd like to schedule a demo, and we'll have someone reach out to you. So Mike, looks like we had a good call. People are digging it, and everybody have a fantastic week. Also, if you have gone from struggling to thriving, and there was something that just clicked that made it happen, let us know about your success story. All right? Take care, everybody. Have a great day. This call is a wrap.